Today I'm showing y'all my car collection, the builds that are done to both of these. It may not be a ton of cars, but boy, they got a lot of character. Now there's a lot that I want to get into in today's video, so if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. All I talk about on this channel is business and cars. Those are the two main things that I absolutely love. So that's the only thing I'm ever going to share on this channel. So the first car in this entire collection is none other than my Ford F-150. I meme a lot about Ford being found on road dead, but this is my second Ford I own. My first ever car was a 2012 Ford Mustang V6 with a loud Roush exhaust, and no, it wasn't a manual. I know, I've heard it 100 times. But that car never broke down on me, and nor has the truck. Will I say though, this is kind of the everyday car. This is the daily, and living in Canada, it's also perfect for the snow. But with it being a Ford and my first Ford truck, it certainly has its quirks. And at this point, it's become a meme to see how long this truck actually lasts because it's never broken down, but it's starting to make some really weird noises, especially when I start it up. Funny story about this truck. I actually bought it and it had an accident on file. There was an accident on the Carfax. Now there's two reasons I bought this truck. Number one, it was a screaming deal. And number two, the accident wasn't near the motor. So I wasn't too concerned about it if it's still gonna run the way it should have been. As long as the truck runs the way it's intended to, I really don't care. The accident was in the back, like the bed was hit and they replaced the entire bed. Everything is fine. So this is a 2018 Ford F-150 EcoBoost Sport Edition. Yeah, I gotta flex the Sport. Now, hear me out, because I think you may understand as to why I bought this. I bought this truck in early 2019, and I bought it for 30,000 Canadian dollars, which equates to about 22,000 US dollars, and it only had 40,000 kilometers on it, which is like 25,000 miles, if that. Overall, that's why I took the shot on this, and again, it's meant for the daily. It's not something that we're modifying or tuning. In all seriousness, as much as it sounds like I don't take care of the truck, it's literally become a meme at this point because it has been so reliable. It's never broken down, but for me to put the money into it, fixing some of the stuff, I don't really care to drop thousands of dollars into this. I don't have a warranty on it, so I'm just gonna run to the grave and then I'll go and get another truck. But this thing has actually been incredible, perfect daily, it's never broken down. It's genuinely a really good truck. Despite all the memes, which I also participate in those same memes, I am a proud Ford owner, and this thing's wicked. Now moving on to the real cars here. We have right here my 2015 Nissan GTR. Now, I kind of parked the two cars really close to each other here. This was intentional, but this car is actually my baby. So this GTR was my first supercar, call it. You can debate whether it's a supercar, sports car, whatever the case is, but I bought this car in high school. I was in grade 11 when I purchased this car, and it was the first car that I severely fell in love with. I love the way it drives. I love the power that you get just off a stock car. I just loved everything about it. And I was your traditional GTR fanboy. The only problem back in high school is I didn't have 40 or 50 grand to start modifying this car to the degree that I wanted to. So I pretty much had it bone stock for a long time, and I did an exhaust on it and a blow off valve, but other than that, we really didn't go too heavy in this. But this car carries so much monumental weight to me. It's almost like a relationship. Like, this car literally maintains a relationship with me because of all the things that we have done with this car. So I bought this car back in high school for I think 70,000 Canadian dollars, and it had 40,000 kilometers on it, and it was bone stock. It's also the special edition red color, which I don't know what the exact number is, but only 1 in 100 and something GTRs are made in this color, and when it's perfectly clean, you can see a golden sparkle in the paint. Now, sure, a lot of people can have history with a car just by owning it for a long time, but I have done pretty much all my first of everything was with this car. I bought my first house and I had this car. I moved out for the first time and I had this car. I graduated high school and I had this car. I did my first rally in Texas and I shipped this car over there to rally in this. I also set this car on fire and it still drove the next day. So about 2 years ago, I started modifying this car, and I went to a shop that a lot of my friends were going to, and they offered a package called the MT800. It's essentially a package that will build your car and do everything necessary to get to 800 wheel horsepower. And so it costed about $25,000 to do it. Not cheap by any means. Problem wasn't the build. It was actually the people building it. When I started building this car, I went based off of what my friends would say, who also put their money in the same shop, but I also wanted this car to have personality, hence the reason why I started building it. But 24 hours after I took delivery of my car, after it was modified and supposedly pushing 800 horsepower, I set the car on fire. How this happened was with a flame tune. I had a flame tune on the car, but this tune was just way too much. long story short, anytime I actually put the car into the flame map, all I need to do is tap the gas and it's gonna shoot out like a big fireball and make a pop and a bang noise. The problem is a majority of my exhaust was bolted, not entirely welded. And one of the pops that we did actually blew the bolts off of the exhaust, and it created like an 1 or 2 inch gap. When I shot a flame, it shot through that gap and it set my entire trunk on fire. Now I have a bunch of stuff in here because I actually just got it back from a new shop, and the shop I took it to literally holds the record for Canada's fastest GTR, and they actually know what they're doing. So the car runs great now, and I set the entire trunk on fire. I mean, look at this, boys. I was in the car when all of this happened too. Also, this is all charcoal. So from that day forward, I told myself, number one, I'm not going to that shop anymore. Number two, I'm not gonna fix the fire damage. I genuinely, as much as this looks really bad, I'm never selling this car. No one's ever gonna buy it off me. So I'm just gonna keep it like this. Again, it's part of the monument. It's part of the history that I've gone through with this car. And quite frankly, I like it. Now, I just mentioned that I just got this car back. For the last 2 months, it's been at Canada's #1 shop for GTRs, and they hold the record for Canada's fastest GTR. It's pushing like 3,500 horsepower. And these guys know what they're doing. Like, they actually do know what they're doing. And so they fine-tuned everything. They replaced a bunch of the things that the old shop didn't do. They also pointed out a bunch of negligence from the previous shop that they had now fixed on my car, and this thing is running better. In fact, when I dropped off my car to them for them to fix it for me, they put it on the dyno immediately because they wanted to see how much power the car was actually making when there was claims of it being 800 horsepower, but it felt very, very underwhelming than what 800 horsepower should be. And the dyno actually read 600. So I had paid for an 800 horsepower car and actually only got 600 out of what the previous shop did. Now that's a combination between bad parts, bad build quality, etc. And so without having to modify anything extra to this car, it is now actually pushing 800 wheel horsepower, which is perfect. And here is the heart. Now, everything here definitely needs a good cleaning, but you can see some of the modifications that have been done to the car. As it stands right now, this is an entire full bolt-on car. Literally the only thing left to do is engine and tranny, and we'll be pushing more power. Cool thing about this, I actually installed this with my friends and my dad. We did both of our blow-off valves, and then this was way back in high school we did this, and that was the only thing that I installed myself. Obviously, you can see a couple exterior components that the shop has done, but this car, dude, I absolutely love this thing. This thing's a beast. I absolutely love this thing. I love the history I have with this car, and I will never get rid of this thing. And let it be right now, we're at 316 subscribers. I'm going to build this car more and more and more throughout this channel, okay? And I want to take you guys through the entire journey because this thing has such a monumental piece in my heart that I want to share it with all of you. So now that we've seen the GTR, it's time to move to the track weapon, which is the GT3 RS. Now this car is pushing, I believe, it's 510 horsepower, so it's nothing insane, but a GT3 RS is a much more driver-focused car. And I agree, this thing is insane. There is no other car out there that feels like a Porsche does. And if you've never driven a Porsche, it doesn't have to be a GT3, just go and drive any Porsche. Like, I'm sure a Boxster feels great to drive. Just, you need to drive a Porsche and really experience why everybody says what they're saying. Nothing drives like a Porsche, and I will stand by that. If you're out there about to spend 200, 300, 400,000 on a car, really consider a Porsche. It may not be the fastest on the road, but boy, this thing knows how to make you feel really good when you get in the car. So this is a 2016 Porsche 991.1 GT3 RS. Cool things about it, we have a physical badge. And it's actually not on properly. I didn't install this, bro. Like, I don't know. We have an aftermarket side skirt right here. We have a bigger vent right here on both passenger and driver side. And we have a GT2 RS carbon style wing side piece right here. And sometimes people can't actually see the GT3 RS in the back. It's because they actually wrapped over it. I kind of want to get the writing embodied so you can see, because I had a guy ask me, he's like, oh, that's a 718, right? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this looks nothing like a 718. Like, what do you mean? But I suppose it doesn't make it much easier if you literally can't read the writing. But yeah, you can see that right there. And this car also has a massive yellow roll cage. I mean, this thing is huge, bro. Now, my genuine impression about Porsche was blown away. Porsche was the last brand that I was ever going to gravitate towards, and I've owned plenty of other cars that were significantly faster than this one. I had a McLaren 570S, which I owned for just over a year and a half, and then I had a Lamborghini Huracan, which I actually traded in for the Porsche. Now, so the origin story around me buying the Porsche actually goes like this. So a really close friend of mine, him and I always go driving together. We've known each other for 5-6 years. He's had a collection of cars, and I've had a collection of cars, so we just always gravitated towards each other, and we would cruise together. He had a GTR. I convinced him to buy a GTR, and he built it to like 1,100 wheel horsepower. I believe it was a 2014 gray GT3, and It was cool. It sounded great. I was never, oh my God, wow, that looks so cool. But he would cruise it around, and I would always try and smoke him in my GTR because I thought my car was just better and faster. And it was what it was. When one day I bought the Huracan and he wanted to switch cars with me. He had an event he wanted to go to and he wanted to bring his GTR, but he also wanted to bring something a little bit more flashy. And so I let him take the Huracan. He gave me the Porsche for the day, and I had an entire day to do whatever I wanted to do with this Porsche. This was the first Porsche I've ever driven. This is the first Porsche I actually had significant time with, and I instantaneously fell in love. I'm at a loss of words, genuinely. Like, and it's a beautiful day, so it helps. Like, wow, dude, I can't even describe the emotion this car gives you. See, I actually did a rally with my close friend Nathan, and he had a GT3 RS. This was years ago. It was purple with gold wheels, straight piped. It was awesome. And I was in the passenger seat of this rally the whole time, and we went 4, 5, 6 hours away. So I had a good amount of time inside of the car, but I didn't love it. It was cool in the passenger seat. It sounded great. It was quick, but it wasn't fast, and it was just cool. It didn't make me go, wow, that's insane. It was just average in my eyes. But I didn't drive it. I didn't experience what it truly felt to drive one, and I wasn't behind the wheel. So it was lacking a lot from what there actually is with a Porsche. When I traded cars with my friend is when I fell in love. I instantaneously fell in love with the GT3 and immediately realized what there is to Porsche. And I think a big selling point as well that made me fall in love with this brand a lot more than other brands is at the time with the Huracan, just general maintenance on cars like McLaren, Lamborghini, Ferrari are tens of thousands of dollars. Like, you can expect to get a $20,000 bill if you don't have a warranty. Like, that is just a normal Tuesday when you have those types of cars. Whereas a major service on my Porsche GT3 RS was 2,400 Canadian dollars. We're talking less than 2,000 USD for a major 10,000 kilometer or every 3-year service for this car. That's insane. And it's not that I'm penny pinching over, oh, well, it's too much money. No, it's, do I love this car enough to keep putting 30 grand into it? Yes or no? Because I've already put way more than 30 grand into the GTR, but for a Huracan that I didn't love, or for a McLaren that I didn't love, do I actually want to put 30 grand into this car because I love it, or am I putting 30 grand into it just because? So I didn't love it. I immediately traded in the Huracan for this car, and let me tell you, it is the best car ever. I love Porsche. The only time you'll ever catch me selling this car is to get the new generation. That's it. I love this car so much. I drive this car way more than I should. I'm depreciating its own value because of how much I drive it, but I am obsessed with this car. I'm a person that when I buy a car, I drive them. I don't care about mileage, and I drive them hard. You will never catch me lacking with a car where it's going to sit in the garage, it's going to be garage kept. I mean, just the interior in this car, I absolutely love it. There is specks of carbon absolutely everywhere, and the cool part is this car has cup holders. Okay, you might be laughing, but here's the thing. A lot of supercars don't have cup holders, and it's a sacrifice that you need to make when you are buying these supercars. And actually, cup test, this is actually good, by the way. As much as this looks a little janky, it actually works really well. Better than a Lambo, better than a McLaren. Now, like any good addiction, I want more of it. And in my case, it's cars. I want more cars. I'm always in the market for cars. The problem is I don't have space. I know I could easily put a 4-post lift in here and fit these cars here, but quite frankly, I just don't want to install lifts in my garage. It's just one more thing that has to be installed, drilled into concrete, and then lift them. I would rather just have a bigger garage, more space. The only way to acquire more space is to move, and so it's something that I'm constantly looking for a new place. I want land. I want like a farm where I can hop on an ATV, go do donuts in my backyard. No one's gonna bug me, no one's gonna be mad, and I can just have as many cars as I possibly want. And that's kind of the objective. Now, if this video breaks, let's say like 1,000 likes, I will race both of these cars. I know which one is going to be the winner. It's obviously the GTR, but we can give the Porsche some competitive advantages. We can even take it on the track. We can track both of these cars and see which one is going to beat the other. Now, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe right now, and I will catch you guys tomorrow in a brand new video. Peace.